everybody, I'm Matt Valley. Welcome to episode 71 of the Rock and Roll Research Podcast, where we share the super cool backstories and side gigs of the research and insights pros that you trust. Today's guest is Donte Perry, whom I met recently at a meetup for the South Central chapter of the Insights Association right here in Dallas, Texas. So I think it's fair to say we discovered some mutual interests and became fast friends. So I don't want to be presumptuous, but I was feeling it.
Sure. Yes, I felt the vibe instantly.
All right, super cool. So Donte is the director of client development for a really cool company called Opinions for Good, which utilizes an innovative and I would say novel method for recruiting engaged participants while also benefiting the philanthropic community. So really cool stuff. But what a lot of people don't know about Donte is that just as I do, he dabbles a little bit in music, has played in a few bands here and there. And as far as I understand, you might be cobbling one together as we speak. So we will talk about all that and more on today's podcast. Welcome to the show, Donte.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Matt. It's a pleasure to be here. Let's jump into it.
All right, cool. Well, this is, I really do hope that you're primed for this episode because it is number 71 and I haven't done a primed numbered episode since 67. So I hope you're in your prime. I hope you're primed. Let's do it. A little math humor to get us kicked off. Sorry about that.
I'm in my Optimus Prime, so we're
yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. All right, cool. All right, Donte. So I know, like many people, you didn't set out to be a market researcher in college. So tell us a little bit about how you got into research in the first place.
Man, so it kind of started off a little bit after schooling, university. I was doing R&D. Okay.
Okay.
Well, actually, let me take it back a little bit more. While I was in school, I was a preschool teacher. I had got my child development associates through the Navy because I'm a military brat. And at the time, my mom was stationed here, so we all kind of doing our own thing. And I did that for a year and a half, and then I was like, I love kids, but I don't think this is going to be my forever. So started doing when I was in university, I started doing computer science, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do coding after school. And then once I got out, I kind of found myself doing research and development for a semiconductor company. And in that case, I was designing PCB boards.
Wow. Okay, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was nothing I expected for that one either. I had actually started off watching their inventory. Then I started messing with Raspberry Pis. I don't know if you know about those. They're like these little small PCB boards that you can customize to do a bunch of things, like getting to Wi-Fi, or you can use it for instruments as well. They've been conducted into tuners. They're just really malleable little small hardware pieces.
Wow, that's really cool.
Yeah. So while I was at the semiconductor company, I started to just kind of study all their inventory and eventually found myself inside the fab as well, like their laboratory and their clean room.
Right.
And I was like, okay, so I kind of get what's going on here. And I had talked to my CFO and I was like, hey man, I'm kind of interested in helping with the design of these things. And at the time we were also contracted to do work with Apple as well. So there was a lot of demand for us to stay up to date and to be competitive, and
sure,
semiconductors had peaked in the 90s. They're already on an atomic level, so they literally you know what I mean, it's kind of hard to be modern with something that peaked almost 30 years ago. So it was really cool to sit back and watch as technology grows, what we can do and how we can stay innovative. So 4 years of that. And then just before COVID hit, I took a leap of faith because I was like, this is really fun, but I am behind the desk all the time. And it's just me. I kind of want to do something that uses a lot more of my personality. So I took a leap of faith just before COVID and was working on a medical app that's no longer around. Because once COVID hit, that went away. So it was a lot of self-analyzation and sitting back. And then my friend reached out to me and said, hey, I have this data entry job at, at OP4G is what I would find out later. And I was like, okay, it's COVID. I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
And once I came to the interview with my VP, I, still didn't really have a concept of what market research was or
Sure.
what I was doing. So the cool thing about OP4G is that, once I heard our model and how everybody involved kind of benefits from our service, and I've always been much of somebody that like wants to just, that's why I was doing the innovativeness at, the semiconductor places, because I always wanted to help. And I heard their model, and even though I didn't know what was going on, I was like, I want to be involved. So OP4G took me underneath their wing, and the cool thing about Opinions for Good is that for the first year you get to sit back and really take in what market research is, because at the end of your first year you can either go into project management or you can go into business development. And I didn't really, it's cool. They're really open, and that's why I was always been like a perfect fit for me, because I never pictured myself in sales exactly, but it was, it was kind of calling my name once I sat back for a second. Was like, I get this, and this is, something that I think a lot of people will benefit from. I wanted to almost spread the gospel. So after about 2 years, I ended up being the director of business development, and I've been there ever since.
That's really cool. So this is actually your third career, right? Just trying some things out, and here you've landed in research, and that's awesome. So so tell us a little bit about OP4G, your Opinions for Good, and how the model works.
Yeah, so we're a full service market research firm, and the way our model kind of conducts is that we reach out to a nonprofit organization, and they invite all of their members, whether they be donors, volunteers, to join our panel. And once they join through a 40-point demographic, and they complete a study, they have the option to give back 25 to 100% of them in cash incentive to a nonprofit of their choice. So that means, so a lot of people, so the nonprofits benefit from our work. A lot of humane societies, get to, see, how we impact them, and we get to keep puppies fed. So that's awesome. Shelters benefit from everybody inside there. And it also helps that we have a panel that is so versatile, because these aren't going to be your everyday participants. These are mostly going to be people who don't know what a panel is, but they also have a wide range of occupations that they come through, because it's not just vegans are like exclusively moderate conservative people that are loving these nonprofits. It's pretty much everybody. So we have doctors who also happen to love this one nonprofit, who end up participating in our studies later. So it's pretty it's a cool model.
I really love that because I've been sort of in and around sampling, basically my whole career. And, it's a tough game now, recruiting participants. And, there's such a problem with professional participants and bots and things like that. It's great to see a model where there's some sort of relationship or engagement, sort of beyond just, hey, I want to make money on surveys, right? And so you do get people that aren't part of that pool who are, joining 50 different panels. You get fresh people who, like you said, they may not even know what a panel is, right? But by virtue of the relationship that they have with the not-for-profit, it makes sense to them. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and that's also the cool thing about it too, is that we just, those people are so passionate about the nonprofits that they're going through.
Right.
We end up just wanting to help more than they want to make money. So we end up having a lot of higher quality participants.
Right.
The data is like a lot more honest and passionate. So it's like, it's almost rare that we don't have a situation where, we're unable to like see the skew and where everything's going. And
yeah, cool. No, I really love that. Excellent. All right, so let's talk music. Let's talk some rock and roll. So
let's do that. That one's easy.
All right, so where did your interest in music come from, Donte, and what are you doing now?
Man, it started young. As a military kid, friend groups, you love them, you see them, and in a year they're gone. So music has always been the most persistent thing that I've had, or
Yeah.
consistent thing that's been around. And yeah, I guess fourth grade, the first instrument I was actually signed up to take lessons for was a cello. Okay,
Oh,
and
okay.
it scared my mom to death. Because you take this big thing, you're renting it from the school, and I'm taking it back and forth. And at the time, I wasn't,
Fourth grader responsible for it.
she was terrified. So we did it after the first year. She was like, you know what, baby, let's do something a little bit more, less what's one looking for, something that you can own. So we got a guitar, and I started taking lessons at the Guitar Center.
Ah,
Awesome. And yeah, started off there, and it's been 20 years at least of, yeah, 20 years of music straight now. So I'm now grown to piano, ukulele, guitars, electric guitars, acoustic guitars, then I can sing a bit. So
cool. So what kind of stuff do you like to play?
neo soul is my favorite. I love all R&B, and what I like to listen to is metal.
Metal.
I
Metal. Now we're talking.
I love listening to it, but you guys are so technical. I can't keep up with that. My fingers don't move fast enough. They're very small. So, and I know Dimebag Daryl, he was good about, that's with his small fingers, but that's a different type of talent.
Yeah, metal, it has become so unbelievably technical. It's almost like the new jazz, because it's almost like inaccessible. You can't even get into it because you have to be so unbelievably good to play this stuff. It's really something.
Yeah. Have you done jazz at all?
A little bit. Yeah, it's
I know
different
you
vibe.
also do a bunch of different music as well. I don't know if that's touched on, but yeah, no, it's. I'm still developing my ear too. 20 years and it feels like if my ear's here, then it's off. What key are we playing it right now? So that's really
Yeah.
fun.
So, is there any intersection between music and how you think about that, and let's say your professional life or research?
Yeah, I mean, mostly it's your musicianship ends up being such an integral part of your life that it's like, your foundation for how you are as a person, I feel like. And when I came to OP4G, that same, how can I help all the people around me is the same way that I kind of like come to the music as well. Like, are you going to benefit from hearing my songs? And if not, how do I get you on the next one? You know what I mean? Like, how do I, make sure that this relates to you in a way that like you're going to benefit from, hearing me emotionally? Like, does this provide anything that, will give you some ease in your life? You know what I mean?
Right.
So when it comes to that, that's pretty much the same way I have with my business development, the same way I kind of like talk to, all the people I interact. And, I'm like, hey, if we share the same passion, if, we're into rap, or if you're into this side of market research, you're into nonprofits, how do we develop a collaboration that everybody, can see and feel good about? That's the biggest thing about work that I enjoy, because there's not a study that I don't walk away from that, I don't feel good about. You know what I mean? Like it's like it means so much. It's just a way to know that everybody that's collaborating here is going to, the quality is going to be there. It's that's pretty much my approach to it. Just, how can I actually help you down the road? You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, cool. Love that. All right, so you're relatively new to the research space, right? So you've been in this period of discovery at OP4G, figuring it all out. I'm curious to know from your perspective, what do you see as important or becoming more important in the research space?
You know, I think, Gen Z is really a big one. I call them the fidget spinning generation.
Yeah.
They're just so important. Just in regards to, because they kind of share OP4G's opinions for good message as well, where it's like they really want to help the time that they're living in right now. Like they're a lot more passionate about the things they come across. They're a lot more vocal, and I think that all that they provide is going to really be used for us down the road.
Yep.
Especially when it comes to like real-time information. You know what I mean? Like that's also going to be a big component with the spike in, transportation being utilized and all the things that we're using. Like, how do we get that data quicker, and how do we keep the quality? I think Gen Z is going to be the generation that has that for us.
Cool. Excellent. All right. So this is a podcast, right? I'm sure you can consume plenty of media yourself. So curious to know, doesn't have to be a podcast, just any kind of media. What do you turn to for, say, inspiration, insight, or enjoyment? Big, wide world open question.
Okay, all right. So I also have ADHD, and all of my talents, my ADHD is the biggest. So I'm gonna taking in information is always a big part of my day. There are times where I'll spend at least an hour just clicking all the blue words inside of a Wikipedia article saying, ooh, what is this connected to? What is it? How do I get here?
Down the rabbit hole.
Down the Wikipedia rabbit hole, man. Or the rabbit hole. But that's one. Honestly, I'm probably one of the biggest media consumers in the country. There's every show that comes out on Netflix, I'm watching. The Umbrella Academy, the next Game of Thrones episode that's coming out, and just a bunch. But music is definitely always, if I'm never feeling any of that, music is the one that I rely on most, because I know that I can find something that makes me happy, something nostalgic, something euphoric that just brings about an essence that I need at the time.
Yeah, super cool. Me too, of course, for sure. So speaking of music, Donte, this is what I really want to know. Very curious about your answer to this question. You mentioned you like to play some neo soul when you're playing guitar, but you like to listen to metal. So I've got no idea what to expect at this question. So you're stranded on a desert island, right?
Yes, sir.
You've got 3 records at your disposal to keep you company for the rest of your days. What are they?
Okay, so if I had 3 albums is so hard. That's limiting, but I know Frank Ocean's Blonde would be definitely number 1.
Which one was that?
Blonde, Frank Ocean.
Oh, okay, yeah, excellent.
That's one of my favorite albums ever. He is everywhere. Just everywhere. Second album would probably be trying to keep this family friendly. So Beirut, their self-titled album was amazing. It makes me feel like I'm in an Italian villa, and that's all necessary on a stranded island. You want to feel like you're also on vacation and not.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Completely hopeless.
I see your rubric here. I follow you. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, cool.
You get me. And then the third one is the Acacia Strain. I think I want to say Wormwood. Wormwood was an awesome album. Just make sure the kids aren't around when you're listening.
Awesome. You didn't play that one in your preschool, did you?
No, I didn't. I didn't play it for the kids. I'd rather them come across it themselves. Yeah.
Awesome, Donte. I totally love it. And let's do this. The next time we talk, let it be over a jam session here in Dallas. I think we got to make that happen for sure. Absolutely,
dude. I'm trying to get in the studio with you ASAP. Okay, just see. I heard a couple of bands you're in, and I'm like, what is he doing in this one? What is he doing in this one? You sound like talented, so I'm really excited to jam with you some point soon.
Cool, me too. Let's make it happen, Donte. This has been awesome. It's been great to meet you. Appreciate you sharing your insights today on the podcast. So let's get together and rock and roll.
Do it, okay?